Now, European leaders know that our president is not very smart. He's not a very stable genius, contrary to his claims. And so when dealing with President Trump, they've had to go to extraordinary measures to try to get him to understand the implications of his policies. Not only that, but also to try to avoid hurting his feelings. The newest example of that is the recent trade fight. Now, look, it was reported yesterday that President Trump pulled back his commitment to putting a lot of tariffs on the European Union. Now, what happened? Well, now we have some details of why and how the European Commission got President Trump to change his position. European Commission President, according to The Hill, Jean-Claude Juncker, hopefully I'm saying that right, reportedly had used colorful cards with simple explanations to discuss trade policies during his Wednesday meeting with President Trump. The Wall Street Journal has reported on Thursday that Juncker relied on more than a dozen of the cards while explaining trade topics to Donald Trump, including automotive trade, ahead of their Rose Garden announcement to hold formal trade talks. You're going to love this, right? So this is Juncker's, this is their explanation of why Juncker used these cards. Quote, "We knew this wasn't an academic seminar. It had to be very simple." We knew. It's not an academic seminar. It's just trade, which is complicated. Translation. We know your president is a moron. We know he doesn't read. So we developed cute little flashcards like we would use for a toddler. And hey, guess what? It worked. It worked. Juncker and Trump reportedly emerged from the meeting with a handshake deal to avoid a trade war between the United States and the EU. The leaders announced that they would work towards zero tariffs, and the EU agreed to increase U.S. soybean imports and decrease industrial tariffs. Now, Trump also backed off from his threat to slap hefty tariffs on automotive imports as part of the agreement. So, hey, look at that. We actually do have an agreement, and the tariffs are getting pulled back. Yay, that's actually a good win. But it's just hilarious how he had to get explained through flashcards that, hey, maybe your tariffs and stuff, they're not actually working. We're allies. We're supposed to be friendly. So yeah, just bring us your concerns and we'll work through them. You don't have to do the tariffs. Now, how's President Trump taking this? Oh, he's crowing. The president claimed on Wednesday that basically, quote, "We opened up Europe to U.S. imports." Wait, we already had imports in Europe from the United States. He also said, before I get to that, I want to note that there is no formal agreement. But Trump's already saying, there's an agreement, we opened up Europe. In fact, quote, "We just opened up Europe for you farmers. You're not going to be too angry with Trump, I can tell you." Oh my God. Oh, man. So here's the thing. Again, we see this is a pattern with President Trump. So he creates a problem. Tariffs, right? He says, trade from the EU is so terrible. There's nothing we could do. We got to put tariffs. Or you could just negotiate. That's what normal leaders do. They go in and negotiate. It's not like they're enemy nations. They're friends. The European Union will be trading with for a long time. So if you just open up a dialogue with them and say, hey, look, we think our trade policies are a little bit skewed towards you. We would like to reduce our trade deficit, and here's how we'd like to do it. Now, President Trump, instead of doing that, he's like, tariffs. You get a tariff. You get a tariff. You get a tariff. You all get tariffs. Tariffs for everybody. He's like the fucking Oprah of tariffs, in case that wasn't clear. But in reality, look, he could have done something different. But what this did, it whipped everybody up, obviously. And then he went to a meeting in which basically they had to explain that actually, President Trump, here's a flashcard that explains that you're actually kind of wrong and that trade is sort of complicated. I mean, who knew trade could be so complicated? I think everybody. President Trump, of course, backs off and then goes on Twitter and claims victory. What a child. Baby. Sad. Now, the other takeaway that I can get from this is that if you're dealing with actors that actually don't have any sort of, I guess, they're not acting. I wouldn't say they're acting on behalf of the United States, because obviously they wouldn't, or acting on behalf of their own countries, but also, people who are just bad actors in general, using this same strategy, knowing that our president is an idiot and that he can be basically talked into anything, especially if you come on and you're strong about it, to manipulate the president of the United States. That's not a good thing. I mean, yes, if somebody can, a friend who can manipulate the president of the United States, well, so can anybody else. I mean, look at what happened with Kim Jong-un. Still no formal agreement. They're still working on their nuclear arsenal. They're still expanding their nuclear facilities. They're not doing nuclear disarmament. I mean, they know that they can just, be strong, give him a handshake, say some nice things, and that he'll bend. Because that's what he does. Because he's not a smart person, and he's definitely not a very stable genius. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.